Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ajit Khilnani, and in this video I'll be describing how we can use Google Form as a tool for online assessment. Now as we know that presently the students are not physically attending the classes, and most of us we are already taking the online lectures. So in this video I'll describe how Google Form can be used as a tool for online assessment. There are various tools available. However, Google Form, it is easy to use, it is freely available, and it has many functions. So we'll see how we can use it optimally for assessing students online. So Google Form, it is very easy to create. For that we need a Gmail account. So most of us are having the Gmail account, but if we do not have, then we can open one. So opening a browser, we have to type forms.google.com. So we'll have to log in. So I'll log in with my Gmail ID. So when we log in, we will have this type of interface in which there will be forms which we had already prepared. Those will be available, and there will be some blank forms. So the blank forms can be of different types, like contact information, RSVP, party invite. So we are not talking about these things. We'll be starting with a simple blank form. So we click over this blank form, and the blank form will open. So first we'll have to write the title of this blank form. So for practice purpose here, I can write that it's a practice form. So I'll just write it as a practice form. And here also we can see that there is untitled form. So just when I click here, the same title will be displayed here. Now one very important good function of Google Form is that we do not have to save anything anytime. So here it is written, all changes are being saved automatically. Every change we make, it is saved within seconds. So even because of any technical glitch, if our internet goes out or if the light goes out or whatever happens, we do not need to worry. We don't have to do anything. It is automatically saved. So the first thing we do is we write the name of the title of the form. And here we can write any description if you want to give to the students. For example, here I can write that this form is created to practice Google Form, or anything, whatever uh, instructions we want to give to the students, we can mention here. So this is the first thing, title of the form. Then here we can see that there are three functions. So I'll only describe first function at present. So this is the function by which we can change the theme of the form. So if you want to keep any image as a header of this form, this is just for decorative purpose. For example, if I keep this image, so I can insert this image. So this will appear in my header as a header in my Google form like this. Then I can choose any theme color if I want. So it's a blue color. So whatever, even if I can change the background color like this, and fonts style, here it is basic. It can be changed to any decorative type, but I'll be keeping it basic only. So this is the first function whereby we can see how our form will look like. We can decorate our form as much as we want. Okay. Now this pane which we can see on the right side, it has various buttons. Now now this plus button, this is the first button, this is plus button. So pressing this button, it will create a new question. It will be a blank question. Now again in this question, here we can see that there are various types of questions that we can use in the Google form. So I'll be starting with I'll be demonstrating all these options. Now, before a student is asked to fill a form, we can divide the form into different sections, where first section can be of we can say demographic details of the student. So we can, this is the um, button to add the section in the form. So when I click this button, it will say add section. So a section will be created. So this is section 2 and this is section 1. So in section 1, I can give a title to this section 1. I can say that these are the demographic details of the student. Now in demographic details, the first thing we ask is okay, so the screen has, I'll have to zoom it again. Fine. Now in demographic details, generally the first thing which we ask is the name. So we can write here your name. Now see, Google form has automatically detected that this will be a short answer type of question, that is your name. So the student will write their name here, and by clicking on this button, so here we see it is required, this question is required or not. So definitely when a student is filling the Google form, this is required. So we can put it on that this question is mandatory. So adding another question. Now the second thing we can ask is your roll number. Now see, again, Google form has detected that it will be a short answer type of question. However, one more thing we can see, that the Google form has automatically added response validation to this question. Now, what is this response validation? Now, when we ask this question, that is your roll number, then student can write either their roll number in numbers, that is 1 or 2, or they can write it in the words. So we want that everyone should write in numbers only for to maintain the uniformity. So we can say that we can add this response validation, that number should be number. If it is not number, then we can say that the instructions will be given, enter a number, and again this will be a mandatory question for them to answer. Okay, now simultaneously we see this is the second button. So this was theme and this is second. This is preview. Preview means how will this form look from the student's point of view. So when we click on this preview, we will see that the student will be able to see this type of form. Now here it is written the star mark questions they are required. So what the questions that we had marked as mandatory, star mark is senior. So this is a section 1. We can say your answer. Now suppose if someone the student will write the answer. Now see in the roll number. If somebody writes 1, then immediately he will get a prompt, enter a number. So we will write a number like this. Okay, so I'll be simultaneously showing you how it will look from the student's point of view. Okay, now suppose these were the demographic detail. We can ask other demographic details. For example, we can ask what is your semester, and now we move on to the main section. So we can, if we are testing any particular system, for example CVS, so we can mention here CVS, or any subject, physiology, anatomy, ENT, whatever we can mention here, and then we can, if you want, we can write the description here, and then we start adding the questions. Now suppose question 1, we want a definition of a particular thing. So what is anything we can ask, what is the definition of TSOM? So this is a short answer. So this is not an MCQ. What we can do is we can change from here and we can make it short answer type of question. So here the students will get the space to write the definition of CSOM, and again we can keep it as a required question, that is mandatory question. So we will keep it as a mandatory. So this is the first type of question, that is short question. Then moving on, suppose we want another question in which the student has to write a paragraph also, or it is more than a longer than a short answer. So we can see, for example, what is the differential diagnosis of ear discharge. Now this question the student will have to write, it's a long type of question, so we can keep it as a paragraph and we can keep it mandatory. So again I'll be showing you how it will look from the student's point of view. So this will look like this. Name. Okay, now one more thing, that since we have added section, now here see, so here we have to instruct that where should the student go after section 1. He should continue to the section 2. So again we'll see the practice form. When we press next, okay, so first we'll have to fill this because these are mandatory. So I'll fill it and see the second section automatically starts, and here the student will get a space to write the answer. It can be a short answer, it can be a long answer. So continuing with other questions, so another type of, we'll add another type of question. Now so we can add MCQ, where is Agra, for example. So this is a multiple choice of question. We can write option A, we can write option B, we can write option C, and if we want to add more options, then we can add from here. Now this is a multiple choice question, so it will have single response type, so it will have only one answer. So it is again a required question. Now if we see how does it look like in the Google form. Okay, so I think I'll remove the section 1 because again and again it will ask me to fill it, and for demonstration purpose I'll just remove this first section. Okay, so now we'll see how an MCQ will look from the student's point of view. So it will look like this, where the student will have to choose a single best response. So this was another type of question, MCQ type of question. Then again we'll see another type. So these are the check boxes. Now sometimes what happens, that a question can have a more than one correct answer, especially if we remember such questions are asked in AIMS and PG examination. So we can have such type of question which are called check boxes. For example, what are the ingredients of alkaline nasal douche? So it can be NaCl, it can be soda by car. Then another, whatever options we want to give, we can give those options. For example, X, Y, Z. Now again, if we want, we can keep it mandatory, or if not, then not. Then how it will look, we'll see. So it will look like this. Now here, see, in the multiple choice, when I was taking more than 2 answers, then automatically a single answer was selected. But here we see that more than one options can be selected. So this is the multiple response type of question, that is check boxes. So that was 4th type. Moving on, then there is drop down. So again, it is just a simple method of asking, a different method of asking a question. For example, we'll see the same question that we asked as MCQ early, that is, where is Agra? So here we can again write the same options. And if we want, we can make it mandatory. Now see, we'll see how it looks. So here a drop down menu will be shown to the student, and they can click on this drop down menu and they can select whatever response they want. So this type is called a drop down question. Then another type of question is file upload. So if we click this type, it means that we want a student to upload their response as a file. For example, if I'll tell you. For example, if my question is, draw a labeled diagram of tympanic membrane. Now the student will not be able to directly draw here. So for such questions, he can draw it in their notebook, and then he or she he can upload it here. So an option will be shown to the student to upload a file. So we can, if we want, we can accept only specific type of files. For example, if we want, we can accept only PDF, or only a Word document, only image, only audio, and so on. However, we can keep it open so that students can submit any type of file. Then the number of files that a single student can submit can also be increased. We can keep it one only, and what is the maximum size of file that we can accept. So all these things will be shown to the student, and if we make it required, then we'll see how it is from the student's point of view. Now see, in this question, the student will get option like this. So when he draws a diagram of a tympanic membrane, and if he can scan it, he can take a photograph, and if he wants to upload it, so he'll be given an option by where he can upload the figure or the file from the local computer. So that is again one type of question that we can ask. Moving further, it is a linear scale. Next type is the linear scale. Now in linear scale, if you want a student to rate something, then this is a good type of question. For example, how are you feeling today? So 1 is very sad, and going further till 5, it is very happy. So this will be shown to the student like this. So a student can select a single response from this Likert scale. This is called Likert scale or a linear scale. So again, with the next question, multiple choice grid. Now this type of question can be asked when I'll tell you with the example, like how was the or we can ask, how will you rate this workshop? So there are two parts of this question. One is rows and other one is column. So in rows we can mention the criteria with which the student will rate it. For example, we can say that food. Then we can say that audiovisual system. Then we can say faculty knowledge and all that. And here we can add the columns: excellent, good. Okay, we can add any number of columns and any number of rows, and we can make it mandatory. So we'll see how it looks. So it will look like this. How will you rate this workshop? Food was excellent. And see, here immediately a prompt comes that it requires only one response per row. So we cannot mark good and excellent both. Only one response per row. Similarly, audiovisual were excellent. They were okay. So like so, we can make a multiple choice grid type of question. The next type, they are the checkbox grid. Now checkbox grid are almost similar type of questions. The only like multiple grid, but only difference that here more than one responses can be selected per row. Now, for example, we can say that work distribution. So here we can mention, say, Ajit, then Naresh, Raja, and the work allotted is food, canteen, whatever we can write here, just for the sake of demonstration, flowers or any type we can say. So we see how it looks like. So we can say Ajit can bring food. He will do canteen also. Naresh will do these two things, and Raja will do these things. Now we can convert this as in a medical education type of question pertaining to the respective subject of the faculty. But here for the demonstration, I am taking these things. Now by looking at this question, we can see that if Ajit is doing the canteen work, then Naresh and Raja should not do it. So how can we modify it? We can modify it from these three dots that limit to one response per column. So when we do it, now we'll see how it looks. Okay. Now here see, if Ajit is bringing the, okay, just okay. So if Ajit is bringing the food, Naresh is doing canteen work, and Raja, if I again put a canteen for same person, that is same column, immediately I'll get a prompt. Please don't select more than one response per column. It means he'll have to do something else like this, and I'll have to remove it. So that is how we can modify uh, this thing, checkbox grid type of question as per our subject requirement, whatever we wish to ask from the student and how do we want to ask. So moving further, now the type of questions, they are over. So we can ask 3 to 5, 6, 7, 9 types of questions in Google form, and these two are for the date and time recording. If you want to ask the date and time, so that also we can ask. So now this was the first part, that is the type of questions. Now here we see that there are questions and then the responses are also given. So when we click on this response, and here we can see that there is an on button. So if I keep it off, it means the students will not be able to give their responses. So whenever they open the link of this Google form to respond, they will get a prompt that this Google form is closed. And when I open it, this form will be accepting responses. So this can be useful in online assessment. That is, if we want to start a test, so a faculty can keep it on, and after 2 hours the test time is over, so we can keep it off. So even if the student will submit, this form will not accept the responses. Then here we can see that it is spreadsheet. So whatever responses are collected, they can be downloaded as a spreadsheet. So either we can download in the existing, or we can create a new spreadsheet. So like this. Then the 3 dots near to this spreadsheet, they are get email notifications for the new responses. So if there are 150 students, so if any student will respond, you will get an email that this particular student has responded. Then where should your response be I mean stored? So again, it is the same spreadsheet on your new spreadsheet. Then you can download the responses also. And if you are using the same Google form for, say, a different batch, one batch has passed out, and if you want to use it for the different batch, that you can, then you can all delete all the responses, and the Google form can be used as a blank form again. So this was the response section. Now this we have already seen, this previous thing we have already seen. Now again, one important thing remains, that is settings. Now settings has again 3 parts. We can see general settings, presentation settings, and quizzes. So general settings means collect email. If you want, you can collect the email addresses of the uh, participants. And then response received. Response received means that the respondents will receive a copy of their response. If I am filling a Google form, so whatever responses I fill, I will get a copy after I submit the form. So it can be for always, that is, whenever anyone fills a form, he will get a response copy, or it can be kept only if the respondent requests for it. So we'll see how it looks. Suppose if I save this setting, that we have to collect the email addresses also, and a response copy if the respondent asks. So I'll save it, then I'll again see how does it look like. Okay, so see, now I think I had closed the previous button of accepting responses. So this says that this practice form is no longer accepting responses. So see, it was closed here. So I'll again open it, and then again I'll see how does it look like. Okay, now see, another automatic column is created, that is email addresses, because we are accepting email addresses now. And here we can see the lower part, that is just above the submit button, again a caption is there that send me a copy of the response, because we had kept the setting such that only if the respondent asks, he'll get a copy. So if I want a copy, I'll just keep it on and then submit, so I'll get the copy of my responses. And if I select always, then that option will not come, and always the respondent will get a copy. Then I want that a student should respond only once, then I will click this limit to 1 response. But for this especially, one point to note here is that the student should have a Google account. If he is working from any other account, we cannot enable this. So we should ask the student that they should respond from their Google account. Now the respondents can edit after submit. So generally we do not want that after submitting they should again edit, so we won't tick it. Then see summary charts and text responses. So we do not want them to see the summary of other students. And maximum size of all the files uploaded we can select and keep accordingly as per our choice. So these were the general settings. Then presentation. In presentation we'll see the progress bar. So what is this progress bar? Now see, here we have in general settings, we have shown that limit to 1 response. And that is why in presentation it is not, this thing is disabled, that show link to submit another response. So if the student can submit another response, so we will deselect it, and then in presentation we can see that he will get a link to submit another response. So this is how it will look. Now this is progress bar. Now progress bar, we'll see how it looks. So when the student will open the form, so this is the green thing, this is the progress bar. Now because this form at present is having only one page, so this is the progress bar. If there are multiple pages, then it will say that page 1 of 4, for example, it is completed, page 2 of 4, page 3 of 4, and page 4 of 4. So this is the progress. And here it is written, a copy of your responses will be emailed to the address you provided, because we had enabled that option that always give respondent the copy to the receipt, this thing always. So here we can see that at the end of the form, it is displayed, a copy of this thing will be given to you. So continuing with the settings in the presentation, this is again a very important thing, shuffle question order. Now this thing can be useful for us, especially when we want that the student should not cheat. Now we are taking the online exam, students are sitting at their own places, so maybe they have they can contact each other and talk to each other and then cheat. Cheat is not a good word to say, but still they can do this thing. So for that we can shuffle the question order. It means if I am sending this form to 150 students, so every student will get the questions in the different order. So this again is a very useful function, especially when we want that they do not copy. Then third part of this settings, this is making a quiz. Now if I click on this option, that is we want to make a quiz of this paper, then again there are multiple options that after the student finishes this quiz, should the grades be immediately given to them or later. So generally we keep it later. If it is a small test in which we want that the student should immediately know their responses and know their score, then we can take this. Otherwise, generally what happens, when all the responses we get, we first assess them and then we can later on manually review them. Then the respondents should be able to see the missed questions, that is identify the questions which were answered incorrectly, so that we can tick or not, whatever we want. Then they should know what are the correct answers that we can take, and they should know what is the marks of a particular question. So now I have made this Google form that I created, that is practice form, into a quiz. Now I'll see how it looks. So moving on to the questions. Now this cannot be a quiz question. Now this is again a short note type of question, so we cannot make it as a quiz. This is again a paragraph question, so we'll move to this. Now for example, this is a question. Now see, when as soon as I made it into a quiz, I get an option that what is the answer key. So here we say it is in UP, so this is the correct answer, and if the student writes this correct answer, he will get 1 point. So that is done. Now see how it looks from the student's point of view. So here's, we can see that the points are mentioned here. So I can tick anything, and when I submit it, I will get the correct answer if I have I have selected it in the settings that I'll again show you. So similarly for this, it's a multiple choice question. So then we'll see how the answer key will work for this. This is a multiple response type. So we'll add answer key, and these two are the correct answers. Okay, and if he writes both these, it carries 2 points. Done. Draw a label diagram. Mostly we cannot mark it. Then how we are feeling today, it's a Likert scale. Again, so we'll see now in settings, in the quizzes, I will see that the student should know the correct answer and the point value. and the incorrect answers also, and immediately they should be released to the student. So we'll see how now our overall uh, Google form will look like. So here email will be required. I should keep it happy, very happy rather. Then definition, we can write anything. Similarly, where is Agra? This was a Dropbox type of question, so I can write it as in UP. So here I am writing the correct answer. Then here again I can write it. And if suppose now I am purposely I am marking one correct response and another wrong response, and it is of 2 points. So we'll see what happens. Now upload a file. Now at present I won't upload any file, so I'll just okay, fine, I'll just do it. So we can select it from our drive. So we can select it whatever, for example, this image. So we can upload this image. If this is my upload, if this is my answer, correct answer to the question asked, so I can upload it. Okay, so this image will be uploaded. Then again, Agra, it is in UP differential diagnosis of ear discharge. It's a paragraph type of question, so I can just write anything. Then okay, now here I can also see the progress progress bar. So as soon as I submit, okay, so here some, I think, connectivity issues are there. Okay, so as soon as I submit it, I will get the uh, I'll get this message that your responses have been recorded, and I can view the scores now. So when I view the scores, so it will be shown only for the questions for which I had marked it. Here we can see that this was, these two were correct. So this is correct, showing correct. This is showing wrong. But overall the question had 2 marks. So I get a 0 mark for this. And similarly, for another question, this was correct, and I get 1 mark for this. So total out of 3 marks, I get 1 mark. So that is how a student can immediately know the answer. Now, when we are giving such type of questions in which we are immediately telling them the marks, what we can do is we can write an explanation also. For example, in this question, this is the answer key. And so in this question, answer key can be UP. It is a correct answer. And then we can add answer feedback also, that why UP is correct. So whatever is the message which we want to give to the student, that why this option is correct and others are wrong, we can give to the student, and we can save it. So whenever the student will answer this question, along with the correct answer, he will also get the explanation for that correct answer. So this is how we can create a Google form. Now how we can send this form to students. So see, I had submitted this form. So here we can see that there is one response. So when I open this response, automatically it will summarize all the responses. So whatever correct answers are there, automatically graphs will be built, so it can be used for our analysis and research purpose also. Then we can see the individual responses also. This is a summary. Here we can see what were the questions, and here we can see individual responses. So this is one of one response, that is first response only I responded, and whatever were my answers, these were my answers. So, and if another person would have responded, it would have increased the number here, so that when we click here, we can see the individual responses also. And if we want, we can create a spreadsheet and download. So we can create a spreadsheet. So we can create it, and we can, so it will directly link to our this thing, Google Spreadsheets. So this is, see, it is very easy. All the responses have been tabulated here in the Excel sheet directly. No need to copy paste or do anything. So it is very useful tool actually. And then finally, after we prepare this form, we can send it to the target audience. We can, there are multiple methods of sending it. We can send through email individually, or we can send to a group email. Then secondly, this is a very useful option where we can create a link of this form. So this is a shortened link. So I'll copy this link, and I can send it this link through WhatsApp. So when a student will open this link, directly this Google form will open from the student's point of view. Okay, so this is how it will look. And if suppose 2 hours have passed, so this is how we can get, and that is also a third method where we can embed the HTML. But I think through either we can send it through email. A more easier way is we can use the link option, where I can copy the link. Either we can send this link through email, we can send it to the WhatsApp group. Now, if suppose I stop accepting the responses and the student opens this link, then he will get the message that the practice form is no longer accepting responses. Okay, so that is how we can limit the time duration of our test. That is, after 2 o'clock, after 2 hours, for example, nobody can respond to this test. So I hope you have, I've been able to convey the message to you that this is a very useful and important tool. And if you have any queries, you can ask me in the email that I just showed it on the Google form. So thank you very much for the listening.